I did. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Wayne Dollard, and I am a business owner in Cecil. I've been there about 10 years. I am building on the corner of Mayview Road and Georgetown Road in magazines. We also publish the Pittsburgh Steelers magazine, Can Mac magazine, for their local magazines. And one of the other things we do is we publish the national magazine for Pickleball magazine. So real quick, have all of you heard of Pickleball? Anyone not heard of it? Okay, so because I was going to bring up my paddles and all that to show you if you didn't know. All right. Anyhow, so we started Pickleball magazine, and my wife and I, we have some people that work with us. We travel the country teaching pickleball, and we travel around and we play in the big tournaments. We're actually the 50 and over national champions, my wife and I together, and in mixed doubles. And we decided we wanted to build a pickleball facility because there are none in the whole area of the South Hills. There's thousands of facilities across the country, but there's nothing in our area. And there used to be indoor courts in the gym at Cool Springs and also at the South Point Courthouse, but those are now kind of reserved for basketball and volleyball because they get much more dollars per hour from the people coming in. So all the local people were asking me if I would build something. So for the past few years, I've been looking at land and trying to build something. And finally, about 6 or 7 months ago, I was talking to my neighbor, and he offered to sell me the 3.5 acres on the side of his property on next to 11 Mayview Road on 19 Mayview Road. And so we did. And so there's a meeting, I think, last month where we got zoned to have that land sectioned off. And what do you call it? Subdivided. And now we're looking to use the industrial usage. So the industrial will be for a sport facility. And what we want to do is we want to build we've got the financing all put together and all that stuff. We had architectural drawings done and engineering and survey. We've had core samples drilled. We were going to do a traffic study, but good news is PennDOT came back today and said we're small enough that we don't actually need to do a traffic study. According to PennDOT today, which is kind of nice, unless you want us to. But what we want to do is, if you see the drawing over here, it's 16 indoor pickleball courts, and there's a big audience in the South Hills that will want to take us up on coming members. We're going to charge a very low fee of $20, $30, $40 a month, something like that. And if people want to come and if they're members, they play for free. If they're not members, they come here and pay $15, $20, whatever it's going to be to play for 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever. In addition to pickleball, we're going to move our company offices from Mayview Road on 11 Mayview Road over to this address a couple hundred, about 100 yards away. And we're also going to have a few other things in there. There's going to be darts in there, six boards for darts. We're going to have badminton use of the pickleball courts, and we're going to put table tennis in there so we can have table tennis events, things like that. And the last thing we want to do is we want to have a piece of the land inside designated for a restaurant, not a full-time restaurant, but more or less we want to partner with a local business venue, eateries, have them cover and cater food on Friday nights and Saturday nights. So that's kind of what we're looking to do is an inside facility. So there wouldn't be any noise, everything's insulated. So if you're in the facility, yeah, you can hear pickleballs, but if you're outside of it, you're not going to hear anything. There's no vibrations, no noise, nothing like that, no light. There's no one to the east side of the building except for the elementary school across the street. There's nothing to the south except for the building the guy who sold us the land. It's a big warehouse. To the north of us is the old Lorenzi Lumber, which is going to be an auto body shop eventually. And to the west, there's nothing to the west of our building for a couple hundred, 200, 300, 400 yards. So that's kind of that. And I guess that's it.
Excuse me, you'll have no outdoor courts?
We wanted to, but there's no land. We can't. We were hoping to take the land in the back of the Lorenzi Lumber and offer them money for it. And maybe they'll sell us an acre or two so we can put some outdoor courts on it. And we talked to them. I talked to Lou Olivia, who's the agent, and said, no, the whole land is going to be used for auto body. And so, unfortunately, we can't have any outdoor courts for football. If we want to, we can't.
Thank you.
The hours of operation, what do you think hours would be?
Well, I'm going to guess not later than 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to start like 8:30 because the seniors usually come early. So I'm thinking probably 8:30 in the morning. And then at nighttime, when people come later at night, it's probably going to go to around 10 at night. If we can get it maybe until 10:30, that'd be nice, but something like that. We expect probably 30 people in the morning to play, the seniors play in the morning. And then we expect the facility to be pretty dead until after 3 o'clock. Then we went around kids programs. And then we expect most of our traffic to be from 7 to 10 at night, which is when we're going to have maybe 60 people coming in to play on the courts. If you fill up every single court, you can have 64 people there at one time.
How many?
If you fill up 4 people on all 16 courts, you could have 64 people there at a time.
You might be pleasantly surprised. My son goes to goalie training at the old Robinson YMCA, which has pickleball courts. And if you take him at 7 o'clock in the morning, there's people playing. And if you take him 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there's people playing. And if you go at 10 o'clock at night, there's people playing. So
I think you're right.
yeah, it hits such a wide, pickleball hits such a wide age range. I think this is awesome. So I think that you're going to be pleasantly surprised by the interest.
We think so too. It's not going to, if we wanted to make money, we would throw hardwood over the whole thing and we'd rent out basketball and volleyball for $120 an hour per court. But this is pickleball. It's not going to be like that. But I do think that we're going to be packed every night, every court. And I think that's going to be 7 days a week.
Will there be teams and leagues and tournaments?
Well, right now there's no teams or leagues anywhere in the area. But we'd like to start organizing that in the summertime. So
There is in Canonsburg.
Oh, there's 2 courts there. Is that a league though?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, then they started. Then that's great.
Yeah, and it actually takes up so much time over there. There's people that are constantly looking for courts. So it'd be great to have them, be able to direct them to you. Because the league basically fills the courts in Canonsburg.
Yeah, so I'm happy that the nice thing about our facility is that it's indoors. So all the outdoor facilities are going to be like a feeder system. So all the people playing outside all year round, when it gets rainy outside or it's cold outside, they don't want to come indoors. And then we're going to be there. And to your question about tournaments, we do want to run a big tournament every year. I've been working with the West Pennsylvania Parkinson's Foundation for years, and I run a tournament downtown for pickleball every year. And we generate about $20,000 profit, which we give to the Parkinson's Foundation. I've been doing that for about 6 years. And I would like this place to be the hosting site of the Pennsylvania State Pickleball Championships. That's what we want to do. And so although you can only put 64 people on the courts at a time, we actually put in 125 parking spots so that if we do have an event once a year, we can have the capacity for parking.
If there's a tournament, that means there's extra teams waiting on deck, basically. Is there stadium seating, or is there a place for people to hang around while their kids or whoever is ready to play?
Yeah, so we have, on the drawing down here, we have 8 courts on one side, 8 on the other. There's an 18-foot viewing area. There's bleachers going around the stadium court. We have a restaurant and viewing area outside there. And generally when you run tournaments, the tournaments last like 2 hours. So it's like a round robin tournament and you're playing like 35 members are playing right now. And when they're done in 2 hours from now, they leave and the 45 members come in when they leave. So it's like an all day long event with different age groups coming in. You usually hold a tournament like that over 2 or 3 days. And that's how we've always done it.
Do you have a drawing of your inside layout?
Yeah, that's it.
No, I just want to make sure we get it submitted for us to consideration. Okay.
So the entrance is over here. We've got a pro shop, big restaurant area, and some booths. We're going to have a bar area, and we want to serve alcohol for one reason. It's not 7 days a week, but we want to have an alcohol ability to get alcohol, so people want to come to evenings, they can get a beer. So there's a self-pouring system we want to put in that you get your drinks. And again, I'm not a big in alcohol myself, but I've gone to facilities, I travel across the country teaching pickleball, and with facilities that don't have any alcohol at all, everyone basically 5 o'clock on Friday and Saturday night. But if you have beer there, people stay till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on Saturday night.
That center area, is that the only area where, like, if the next group is ready to go and you say that there's 2 hours, they move up, just in that center area, is that the only milling around area for people waiting?
Platform, it's 5 foot high, and people can sit all on here, they can watch the matches, they're going on over here, and then the matches are where they can walk on. So it's a very big viewing area over here, and then here's well.
What's the overall size of the building?
The building's 47,000 square foot, and then we're going to put a second floor over top of the restaurant and locker room area, which is where we put my office. It's going to be top here, and we're going to rent out our solid office. And we're also going to have a second floor over here in the bedroom, so corporate gatherings or birthday parties or things like that. That's on the second floor.
Can you get drawings of that for us to submit? I mean, usable size, I mean, just. Can you get sizes for, so the board members could have it for the packet? Yeah, just shrink them down. All right, just so we can get them. Okay, yeah, just so we have something to talk about.
Can you make sure that we get, like, have the option? I don't need it printed. I can look at it electronically.
Yes.
So if you've obviously been around the country, you've been around the country to build CDs. Do you feel comfortable with the amount of, given the multi-use, do you feel comfortable with the number of parking spaces, or is there, because there's really not a lot of data on these facilities out there in terms of how much parking they need. So if you obtain the conditional use and you actually come in and you have multiple uses within the site, like a restaurant, other things that would be involved, there are criteria within the ordinance related to parking. And Carrie, did you look at, like if it's, I mean, we don't have information on what the pickleball courts would require, but let's say they're full 64 people, right? Potentially that's 64 spaces. So are the remaining number of spaces adequate enough to meet the ordinance requirements?
Yeah, there's not going to be, like the eating area is going to be a dead-end restaurant.
I understand. But if you put them all together, or you know what I mean, or is there going to be enough parking? That's all. Okay, I just want to make sure you looked at it. And everybody fills 125 spaces because there's no place to park other than on other people's property or on the road. Wouldn't want that to happen.
Yeah, can I comment on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if there's 64 people, and when you book the course, you're only allowed to have so many people booked at a time, then you go on the online system, you can't book after that. So 64 people, even if everyone has their own car, and we have 125 spots, the restaurant isn't open, like, it's not a restaurant open to the general public. It's basically, hey guys, coming up to pickleball tonight, we have our meals, caters and pizzas over in our kitchen. It's a kitchen. It's a 15 by 10 foot kitchen. It's not a restaurant. I guess it's misleading if I call it a restaurant.
Yeah.
We'll serve food once or on a weekend or on a Friday or Saturday. But I don't think that anyone's.
It's not open to the public for a restaurant.
It's not open to the public restaurant.
Okay. Well, I think that's just important to understand those things.
Yeah, that was. Sorry.
Have you seen a facility similar to the one you're building across the country?
So as I said, I travel. My wife and I teach about 50 camps a year, and our company teaches 200. So we're in 35 states. We travel everywhere. I've seen all the best facilities in the country, and they're almost all outdoors, almost all of them. This, at the time it opens and everything goes well, in December of this year, this will be the nicest indoor pickleball facility.
Wow.
Now, that's not to say what happens in the year or two from now, because I know that there's a lot of people building them.
Yeah.
And they're building bar, restaurant, it's kind of like a Top Golf. There's Rush Yard, there's Chicken and Pickle, The Real Bill. There's these companies that they're spending it's going to be about $7 million. They're spending $12, $14 million, but there's this restaurant driven.
Sure.
With 4 to 6 pickleball courts. Ours is pickleball driven. We have, on-site alcohol or food on Friday night.
Right.
Different model.
Is this food going to be catered or are you cooking it there?
That's a good question. So we're talking right now to one of the local pizza shops, and hopefully they're going to bring in pizzas and make them there. They talk about us getting a conveyor belt pizza oven that they bring it in and we run it through them. That's probably what we'll do. We also talked about the possibility of like a food truck type thing on Friday nights for the people playing. And that's probably what we'll be, probably one of those things. I'm not in the restaurant business and I don't know how to be. I think staffing is very difficult. I know that we wouldn't succeed in that business. So we're just trying to have food and alcohol as a way to get people to come out on Friday and Saturday nights.
So in other words, it's not going to be open to just the public for food. It's food for the people that are using the court.
Right, exactly.
You don't have a liquor license yet for it?
Not
Or
yet,
you do?
because we didn't get it approved. If we get approved and all that goes well, and all that stuff, then at that point in time, we will apply for the license and we'll go through the whole lottery system and all that, and the auction system. And I think the licenses are $80,000 to $100,000. And so we will get it at that point in time if everything goes well.
Thank you.
Have any questions? Nobody?
When's it supposed to be finished?
Well, that's not up to us. It's more up to, from what I understand, is after, if this goes through well here, then we have to go through the site plan and get approved. And then I believe it has to go through the Department of, Department of Environmental Protection. I understand that could take 3, 4, 5 months. If that all goes perfect, I can see us breaking ground in June or July. The excavation takes 1 month. The building setup takes 1 month. Then the interior build out's going to take, who knows, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, depends on contractors. So I think that we can be playing pickleball indoors in November, December with some interior construction still going on.
I want to ask a question too. Dan had mentioned about additional parking. It's a unique kind of operation that we can't possibly have anticipated and have any background on how many parking spaces that would be required. Like offices, we know one space per 300 square feet. Restaurants, we know all the standards. But when the Isoplex came into South Point, nobody ever heard of that. So we had no clue what it was going to entail in parking. Their architect showed something, but it was new to them also. But they had enough ground that they could build overflow parking. If they opened and they saw that they were always overcrowded, you're saying there's no potential for any additional parking because you don't own any ground. But you said the guy that sold it to you, he owns the property behind you?
Yeah, so if you see the building there, the white building there, the outline, that's our neighbor's building. And what we could use is we can run about 20 parking spaces along the side, which he'd allow us to do. And then on the other side, I've got my parking lot of 25 spots, and he's got another parking lot of 25. But I can't imagine any reason why we'd ever have enough. I mean, again, if we had 64 people in there, the only instance, I hate to bring it up, the only instance is if we have a tournament, if we have 80, 90, 100 people at a tournament, it's still with 125 spots. And we did that because there was no code for pickleball courts. And so we didn't know, so we just figured, basically I said, can you maximize every single bit of land? So we're still in the quota for impervious space. So we just maximize the whole thing. Instead it's 125 spots.
Jack, do you have a pointer? Do you have you said you pointed up there. What spot could you said you use on each side of your building? I mean, you pointed, I couldn't see it.
Your question is where could we park?
You said that you might be able to do some additional park on the side on your.
Along this area right here, we were building this for a neighbor. So he owns this building right here. And one of the conditions that he asked for when selling us the land is he wanted us to put a loading dock right here for him so that he can put things in. He's got a door right there. And so we're going to run asphalt all the way down here. We could park about 20 cars from here. And then over here, he's got his parking lot. And down here, we've got our parking lot as well. So we have spots here, spots here. And across the street over here, we don't have any arrangements with the Hills Henderson Elementary School. They have 100, I don't know, 50 to 100 parking spots there. If they ever needed some big event on a weekend, we'd pay them to do that. I don't actually see it happening, but it's a nice problem to have.
Would you be able to get something ready from that, your neighbor, that if you needed it, you could share some parking?
Absolutely, yeah.
Can you submit that to us so we have it whenever we go through the record here?
Okay, yeah, no problem.
That'll help.
Yeah, so they're selling us the land, just contingent on being approved for the subdivision in the zone. So then, yeah, they're very excited about it.
What do you anticipate for that office expansion that you were talking about? How big is that office? Who's moving in there? How many people are going to be using it?
So I'm going to point back to this right here. So this is my office building right here. My office building is 5,000 square foot on the top and 5,000 square foot on the bottom, 10,000 square foot. Before COVID, I had about 25 people in my office. Now I've got like 8. Everyone's working from home now. So we have a big 10,000 square foot office with 8 people. And so we're just going to downsize, and we're going to this part of the building here on the second floor, we're going to have about 2,500 square foot carved out for us. So we're actually downsizing from 10,000 square foot to 2,500 square foot for 8 of us. So I guess there's one parking spot. So I guess we're using spots, but that's during the day. We all leave at 5 o'clock. Our traffic will come in until 7 to 10. And this was this week.
Anybody else have any comments, questions?
I do. The things you need from me are a letter from my neighbor saying I can use parking and how many spots. And there's something else you guys asked for. Oh, the floor. Okay. Fine.
All right, Dan, when the school district talked about putting the bus garage up for Sinclair on that intersection coming up with that stop sign, we had them just do a traffic count to help weigh in at the time.
Yes.
Would that be wise? And I'm not talking about traffic study, I'm talking about just the traffic count. Would that come into play?
The problem is if we know that the area is pretty busy right now, and that if we find that there's some other issue, I don't know, the solicitor could comment, but I don't know that we could charge this application with fixing a deficiency, and PennDOT's already talked about that they don't even want a traffic study on this. So state roads, I think what you've discussed and what you've identified as additional parking that would be available would be the most important thing. I don't think the traffic per se is an issue, just making sure that there's enough spaces that they're not parking on the road at some time. And, it sounds like there's a lot of spaces right in the area. So if they're maximizing their property, they have agreements on the other two pieces to use, and it potentially get some school parking. That would probably hit their max situation, right? Yeah. So I don't think from a traffic standpoint there's much more to talk about. It's more about parking.
All right.
Tom, would he have to get permission from Calumet Millen or the school?
If he saw he needed to
Uses
use it
on the
or
weekend or whatever?
Yeah, he might be able to deal with them.
Yes.
I've never spoken with him about it. I could speak with him. I could try.
Well, I wouldn't say now, I mean, there might
No.
never be an issue, but if down the line, if you see that you're getting overwhelmed, that's a potential.
If we ever had an instance where we had a tournament on a weekend or something like that, and just for some reason we hit 125 people or more, which if that ever happened, there'd be a lot of kids. So the tournament would be kids. So hopefully the school district would say, sure, Saturday, why not?
Yeah, they like kids.
You like kids.
I don't know.
All right. That's it? All right, we're not gonna be voting on this tonight. We have to talk about it. We'll be on the agenda for our March meeting. Yeah, so.
It is on the agenda.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is there anything I can get you tonight? I mean, March is great. But is there anything I can get you tonight that you need to, if I call them?
Traditionally, unless there's a reason to hold it up, we vote on it after a conditional use. So unless the board wants to table it, I'm in favor of just moving it forward.
I could get you the cell phone number and you could talk to the owner of the building. I'm sure he'd talk to you tonight. If you want withdrawing.
I was just made aware today that, but the concern for parking, they're trapped.
So we approve it, conditionally based on them satisfying our concern for parking.
All right, you can help us with some language, Dan?
Yeah. You
Okay,
can make that a condition of the conditional use. If
Yeah.
they provide parking.
They satisfy our concern for parking.
Yeah.
Can't make it that vague, but we'll work on it between now and then.
Okay.
It's a long process and there's no need in holding it up a month if we don't have to.
All right, if there's no other comments, we'll consider this hearing closed.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.